Hey, fantasy football friends. So let's talk about some of my favorite starts this week. My favorite starts as far as quarterbacks are, number one, Sam Bradford. You cannot argue with the week he had in week one, and so I'm going to go ahead and keep rolling with him. He did a lot against New Orleans. He's up against Pittsburgh this week, so it's not quite as clean, but I still expect him to have a great game. Pittsburgh gave up 222 yards and a touchdown to Cleveland. And I expect Sam Bradford, with all of their weapons, to be able to do even better. So I like Sam Bradford. I like Matt Stafford. Again, he had a great, captain comeback. He had a great game against Arizona with those 4 touchdowns, but he did have the 1 interception. But I really like him against the New York Giants, who gave up 268 yards and a touchdown to the Dallas Cowboys. Derek Carr. Love Derek Carr this week. He's had a good week last week. He's going against the Jets this week, who gave up 224 yards and 2 touchdowns to Buffalo. And that was to Buffalo, who doesn't have as many weapons and doesn't have Tyrod Taylor I love, but not quite as much as I love Derek Carr. And then my shootout. Start all of your New Orleans Saints and start all of your New England Patriots this week, because that game is going to be a shootout. Both Tom Brady and Drew Brees were disappointing this week. I do not expect that to happen again. Tom Brady does not have 2 bad weeks in a row. Let me knock wood on that, because I have him in one of my leagues and I don't want to screw it up. So those are my quarterbacks. My running backs this week. I love Ty Montgomery. Yes, give me some Ty Montgomery. He had a great week versus Seattle, which is a good defense. He's going up against Atlanta this week, which is a bad defense, and gave up 28 points to running backs with Chicago. So I'm expecting a big game out of Ty Montgomery. I also like LeGarrette Blount. Again this week. I liked him last week. I like him again this week. He did well against Washington, not gangbusters, but scored well against Washington, and is up against KC this week, who just gave up 29 points to New England. So I will take me some LeGarrette Blount. And then James White. I like James White as opposed to Gillislee. I know a lot of people are going Gillislee. I like James White this week versus New Orleans. Wide receivers. I like Cooper Kupp. He's going to be a waiver darling this week. So I like him versus Washington. They gave up 22 points to Philly, and I know that Cooper Kupp's going to be getting a lot of targets, especially if you have him in PPR. Start Cooper Kupp. Brandon Cooks and Danny Amendola versus New Orleans. Again, like I said, start all of your New England Patriots. And then Larry Fitzgerald. I like Larry Fitzgerald. He is going with DJ going out, David Johnson going out. He's going to see an uptick in targets. So Larry Fitzgerald versus the Indianapolis Colts. They gave up 22 points to wide receivers with the Rams, who don't have many options. So I'm expecting a big game out of Larry Fitzgerald. And then my favorite tight ends this week. Jesse James had a great game last week. He's going to have another one this week, because Minnesota defense is pretty strong. So Ben's going to need that safety valve. That safety valve is going to be Jesse James. Coby Fleener versus New England. They gave up 11 points to KC. I expect him to get a touchdown this week. And probably my favorite start, Jared Cook of Oakland against those Jets, who gave up 13 points to Buffalo. So those are my favorite starts this week. Now, if you have any questions about who to sit and who to start this week, please put them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them for you. Until next week, I'm Fantasy Girl.